Hi, I'm Phil. Today's project I'm going to have attempt at doing is removing the EGR valve off my Maverick, and I'm going to try and blank it off. The reason I'm going to do this is I'm getting a little bit of a judder at about 1100 to 1200 revs, so we're going to have a look at taking it off. I'm going to make a little bit of a video diary and see how we go. So, what is it to start with? Well, let's have a look. As you can see, just at the back of the engine there, just down there, is the EGR valve. And it's a complete bitch to get to. That's why most people don't like doing them. As you can see, there's no way of getting into it from the top. I have been told that with some delicately placed spanners we can actually get to it from this sort of area here, but I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to have a guess. And what I'm going to think of doing is I'm going to remove the wheel, and as you can see, just inside the wheel arch we've got a little bit of a gap where we've pulled the cowling away. So hopefully once the wheel's off, that little gap there should give me a line straight up to it. Right, I'll whip the wheel off, I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, right, I've got the wheel off. I'm a little bit out of breath. I don't like manual labour. So this is what we've got left with. A nice big gap underneath here. Hopefully if we now look just up there, we should be able to make out the bottom of the EGR valve. There she is. So hopefully this is going to make it a much simpler job now. All I'm going to do is get a ratchet spanner or a couple of extension bars and a knuckle, and hopefully we should get straight onto that. So that's going to make it a lot easier than what it would have been if we'd have gone through the top of the engine and tried to work that way. But it's still not off yet. Okay, story update. Right, this is where we are. As you can see, you can get to it quite easily with a ratchet and a couple of adapters, and as you can see that goes straight up there onto the EGR valve. So it's not actually that difficult to get to once you've figured out how to get to it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I've cracked both nuts, so we're all right there. They are very tight, I must admit, but bearing in mind this has taken a lot of heat, so they have actually corroded into place a little bit. So I've cracked the nuts, I'm going to take them off. The next thing is I'm going to do is I'm going to try and take the EGR off the top, and then hopefully it's just simply make a template and put it all back together. See how that goes. Okay, where we are now, we've got the two bolts out that we can access from down here. So there you're under two main bolts, you might just be able to see them up there. And then the second stage we have to do is we have to take the two bolts off here that are on the manifold. I've now removed them, as you can see, they're obviously not there anymore. So hopefully that little boy at the back that's been a pain in the arse should somehow come out. This might be easier than it sounds. Let's have a look. I'll stick my hand in, I'll grab hold, and now my fingers are in the way of what I'm trying to do, and I've dropped it. Bloody heater hoses are in the way. There's no wonder they make these engines indestructible, because if they didn't, you'd never be able to bloody work on them. I don't want to come out of there because them heater hoses are in the way. What I'm going to do is I have to put the camera down for a second. I'll see if I can get you a vantage point. See if you can see what I'm doing. I think that's about where I am. Somewhere around there. Might make it easier when not having the camera in my hand. It's just that one bloody pipe that's in the way. Come here. We're getting there. As everybody said, these aren't the easiest jobs in the world. It is coming, but it's putting up a fight. Right, now I've got it wedged. That's good. There we go. Got it to there. Some rocking and rolling. And there we have the star attraction, the EG or GAE or something or a bloody another. And that's the little boy that causes us all the problems. Takes a lot of the power out of the truck and basically does sweet naff all. So, right, let's go make some blanking plates. Okay, now we've got the little offending item off. This is what we've got to play with. Personally, I'm not really sure whether you do the blanking plate for this side or whether you do the blanking plate for that side. So, playing devil's advocate, I think I'm just going to make a blanking plate for both, and then it's all shut off really. So what I've got is some really strong tin or steel, whatever you want to call it. We're going to cut two sections out of that, and then when we've got the two sections out, I'm going to put the template down, draw around it, and try and cut it out. It's strong gauge this, so it's not going to be the easiest thing to cut through. Let's just have a look how much I need. One for there, one for there. Now one of you is probably watching this right now and saying, don't need to cut that one. Now leave that one, don't cut that one. You're going to cut it, aren't you? Yeah, I'm going to cut it because I don't know. Because we don't need to be in a straight line. Right, that should do for that bit, I think. Cut up here. Bend it, bend it. You know, these looked a lot easier to use when I bought them, when the bloke were demonstrating them. I think he gave me a good set. Right, so where do we go from here? Right, let's see if we can get the bench on. There we go. Sort of see what I'm doing there. So, every shed shall have a pencil. So is mine. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to try, I have to bring it to the end so I can do it, and draw around this. Now I'm going to play it crafty, and I'm going to try and use one of the flat edges so I don't have to cut two. And hopefully that should give me what I'm looking at. Let's have a look. It's easier to cut in straight lines and then trim bits off. Oh, you don't want to know what that just did. Ow. Like I said, this is a really good strong piece of tin. Maybe too good, if there's such a thing. Take the jagged edge off just in case some mechanic at some point decides to put his hand under there. Me. Ow. I've almost rubbed that side up, I can just see it. And that's what we're left with, really. A little bit of steel. Hopefully that should go on there, make a little blanking plate. Now there's something you need to remember. You got to make sure that's flat, because if that's not flat, as you can see, we're going to get some gaps in there, so we need to make sure we've got good gaskets and such forth on there. I'm just going to trim this last bit, because you guarantee it's going to be me that's got my hand under there next time when we do any other jobs. Right, there's one more thing I am going to do. Just while I do this, I'm going to change gloves for a second. I'm just going to take any rough edges off. That's basically because I don't want to get scratched at when I'm putting all this back together. I don't want any cuts or blood everywhere all over my truck. It's bad enough cleaning the bloody mud off it, never mind blood. Although pigeons and pheasants, don't mind cleaning them off it, they're not too bad. Right. Unfortunately I've not got a bench grinder, so I'm going to have to do it the old fashioned way. Yay! One important thing to remember when using a grinder. Put some eye protection on. We can all look good being big, pretending we can do everything. Without your eyes you can't do anything. One piece. Let's just carry on. Always look after your eye protection. Back out. So this is what we're left with. Just alter the angle of the camera a bit. So this is what we're left with. We've got a nice blanking plate. As you can see, it's not quite straight, it's a bit out of shape. There's two ways we can get around this. We can either put it in a vise and try and straighten it that way, or we can tap it out with an hammer and see if we can do it that way. Either way don't make any difference, you're just trying to make it as flat as possible. But what we do need to do is put the holes in it as well. So I'm going to put the holes in it first, and then I'm going to start tapping it into shape to make sure it's all nice and straight. Ideally, we could do a new gasket. I ain't got one. Hey ho. Point to consider. Is it worth now going to the shop and fetching a new gasket and making sure it's done properly? Or do we risk it and not use a new gasket and risk having to take it off again next week? We're going to the shop. Just a quick tip for you here. Basically, I think you can see the valve where I've got it set up just there, yeah? Sometimes it's really hard to be able to get a pencil into the holes to be able to mark where you need to drill, and the last thing you want to do is start drilling in the wrong place. So, little tip, this is flux. You just put your piece of wire in your flux like so, hold this in place, drop it down the hole, drop it down the hole, take it off, and your two flux marks. You've got the little bit of cream, one there, they're your drill marks. So, we don't want to mess this up. Trusty old centre punch, tapping stick, and we want one there, and one just there. Drill's already in. Put the gloves on, see if this spins out my hand. It's going to be a bit of a pain. Drill straight into the desk. Tighten the drill up. Drill straight into the desk. One. Two. Just make sure they're in line. Yep, super duper that. Change drill. Now we want one that's going to go through the thread quite easily, because we've got to make sure the bolt's going to go through. And would you credit it? I haven't got one. Not to worry. Might as well there's a way. Good, just wants making it a little touch bigger. Which one we're going to go for then? Here's the boy, 6.5mm. Right, one more little tool we need to look at, because again we're going to get some sharp burrs and some sharp edges on there, and that's going to affect the gasket, so we need to make sure they're nice and smooth. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we have one EGR valve, AEG valve, TSB, BBC, ITV, whatever the bloody things are called, and one nice blanking plate that's going to fit straight on top, or in this case straight underneath. May as well make the other one. How long as it took me to do that one? 10 minutes. So the other one's just a repeat. The downside to the other one is when you try and mount this, you've got to try and get your bolts in and keep the blanking plate in at the same time. So it could be that it's going to be a right pain in the arse and I'm going to end up throwing it away, but I'm going to make one anyway just for the sake of it. So it's just going to be another repeat process. It's pretty much exactly the same shape as the other one, so there should be no real significance in that. When you do them, remember one thing: don't cut the middle out. One more little job that we've got to do is we've got to make some gaskets that's going to fit as well. So this might look like ordinary paper or card or whatever. This is actually gasket paper. I've just been down to the shop and fetched this, so at least we've got the right stuff. So again, we need 4 of these. Try not to waste any. I like wasting things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now normally we'd only need 2. We're going to need 4 because we've got to put one either side of the blanking plate. There we go, that's one. So what we're going to have is a gasket, a blanking plate, and then another gasket on top of that, just to make sure that everything's sealed. Otherwise at some point you're going to have steel to steel, and that's just going to cause problems. And the other little trick that we use is we're going to put some, I call it red hematite, these call it gas tight. We're going to put a nice layer of that around the edge as well. Okay, just take me a few minutes and I'll have that done. Okay, we're back outside, the sun's out now. All I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to clean the surfaces up both at the back there, and what I'm going to do is rethread all these just to make sure that the bolts are going to go in okay. There's nothing worse than trying to get your hand into an awkward position and finding out that you can't get the thread started. So I'm going to do that first. Use a little bit of blue eye molar to do this. It's like a liquid gasket. I don't have any thread lock, so it's whatever I've got available at the minute. Just going to put a little spot on there just to help lubricate that on its way. And then we're just going to thread that through and ratchet it in and make sure they're nice and clean, so it just frees everything up a bit. I mean, these probably haven't been off for years, so look at that, lovely. Nice and easy that. And the other thing about using blue eye molar is when you've done and this starts to cook, gets really hot, that'll start to set a little bit. It'll be just as good as thread lock. I know some of you might argue and say, no, I wouldn't use that. There you go. Just nice and stiff. Right around. Don't make jobs too hard. If there's an easy way of doing it, look for it. Needed a spot, nothing drastic. Same with that one. Right, it's going to be a fiddly job, so swap gloves. Have a pair of rubber gloves. So I don't like getting my hands dirty. In fact, truth be known, if my missus were here, I'd have her doing this. Right, let's see what we're doing. There's one slight problem I've just come across. What I did with the other bolt. It'll be down on the fence. Ah, there it is. For some reason a lot longer than the other one. No idea why. Well, let's just show you what we're looking at. Okay. I don't know if you can see because the sun's out now and it's hard for me to be able to focus on anything with the camera, but we're actually going in down there somewhere. I don't know if you can see that. Just so I don't skip anything out, this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just putting some gasket sealer. I'm putting a nice layer just around everywhere. Make sure it's nicely coated. Don't put too much on, you don't want it dripping into everything, but just enough in there. Just keep it in line. That's it, that's enough. And then what we'll do, we'll just smear that round, make a nice seal everywhere, same there. And then we'll put one of the new gaskets on, like so. There we go. And then we'll put some more on. All the way around. I really have to watch what I'm doing with this camera because I'm not showing you what we're doing. So all the way around. Nicely on, like so, and then the blanking plate is just going to fit on there. Yeah, I never work with kids and animals. That one goes on there, and then a little bit more of this. Some people might think this is a bit excessive. Me, I don't care. As long as it does the job. That's all I'm interested in. So we'll smooth that all around, like so. And then another gasket. So there we've got a nice little sandwich. And then lastly but not leastly, one more layer around the sides. Like so. Now hopefully that will all stay in position ready to be mounted back, but remember how much of a bastard it was when I was taking it off. The chances are going to be very slim, so I need to work out the way of getting this back in. And I think the easiest method is going to be just to take them water pipes off and do it that way, because otherwise all I'm going to do, I'm just going to knock all this off that I'm putting together now. Hello. No, sweetheart, she's gone to stables. She's gone to stables. Okay. Neighbours' kids. Very polite. Strange for kids, isn't it? Scarish, to be true. Right, and the last one. And that sits on there. And then a little bit more high motor on there. Can't wait for this one to be finished, because then I can take this bloody glove off that's sticking to this tube. So there we have it, everything's I'm all lit up, all in position. Get rid of them. And now we can have a look at how we're going to get it in. I think I found an easier way. Be back in a minute. Okay, so what I've done is I've just popped the intercooler system off, so I can get better access to the engine really. So I might be able to show you now where we're going. We're going sort of I'm gonna do this in there somewhere. As you can see, all these gubbins are all in the way, so I've took the damn things off. Let's see if that gives us a better scope on everything. Where are we? Ah, there we are again. The blinding sun in my eyes, I can't see a damn thing. Right, as you can see, that's in there. It's not bolted in or anything, but you can see how much more space I've had to work with by taking the intercooler off to get to it. It's made a hell of a lot of difference. I can get straight down, dropped it straight on. There she is, sitting pretty. Now all I've got to do is feed everything in and bolt it up. So, take the intercooler off. So I'll show you where we are now. She's all back together. Little buggers down there. Everything's done and dusted. But I'm going to show you something across here. Remember these? The gaskets. It's almost bloody impossible to get them in there and line everything up. So what I've ended up doing, it's got one blanking plate in, cannot get two in. If you try and put the second one in, it throws everything out of line. It just doesn't want to go in. Gaskets started going everywhere. I started losing my temper. Stopped filming before I threw something at the camera. But eventually, once I took all them gaskets back out and I left one blanking plate in, it seemed to go back together a little bit easier. It does make it a lot easier having the intercooler taken off and get the water pipes out of the way, and then you get clear exit from underneath. So next thing to do, pack all the tools away and go and give it a try. Hi, well, we took the truck for a test drive. Everything seems okay. It's still got that judder at about 900 to 1100 revs. It's not managed to get rid of that. It does feel a bit stronger on the engine, so I do think it has made a difference blanking that EGR valve off. I think I got it right this time. The red hematite gets absolutely everywhere. It was an absolute nightmare trying to put it back together with that on. The two blanking plates didn't work. I ended up only using one. So if anything, I hope this little video diary was giving you some insight on how to do this, what you need to look at, how to get at it, and if you lead by my example, the mistakes not to make. It was fun, I did enjoy it. It was a lot better when the sun came out. I have edited a lot of the swearing off of this video, so it is okay for children to watch now. Have fun, see how you get on when you do yours, and make your own little diary, see how you get on. Maybe I'll learn something from you this time. Thanks for watching, enjoy, bye bye.